Imagine you're taking a bite of your favorite food, only to realize it's been made in the most disgusting way possible. From mystery foot lettuce to factory-farmed eggs, food safety often takes a back seat thanks to some seriously gross and careless practices happening behind the scenes at your go-to fast food spot, or even that healthy treat you trust. Trust us, some truly stomach-churning moments will make you rethink what you're eating. So, join us as we explore some of the most shocking sights at the worst people doing the most unhygienic things to food. Medium rare chicken. Some food trends should stay in the past, buried under the weight of bad ideas. One of the most dangerous trends to pop up recently was the whole medium rare chicken craze. This wild notion spread like wildfire on the internet, convincing foodies to serve chicken with a pink center, claiming it was not only gourmet, but also safe. But, spoiler alert, it was a disaster waiting to happen. Undercooked chicken, especially when it's still pink, can harbor nasty bacteria like Salmonella and Campylobacter. These bad boys can give you food poisoning, leaving you with stomach cramps, vomiting, and diarrhea. In some extreme cases, it could even land you in the hospital. It's a grim reminder that not everything you see on the internet is safe to follow, and some cooking tips could actually harm you. The moral of the story? Always cook your chicken through. If it's pink, it's not safe to eat. Never trust cooking advice from random memes or online challenges. Cooking chicken properly isn't just a culinary skill, it's about staying safe and healthy. Gutter oil. The phrase gutter oil alone is enough to make your stomach turn. Imagine walking into a restaurant, ordering your favorite dish, and unknowingly eating food prepared with oil that's been scraped from sewer sludge and toxic grease traps. This is the ugly reality of gutter oil, a dangerous and often deadly substitute for fresh cooking oil that's being sold right under our noses. It's then poorly cleaned and filtered, often through makeshift methods, before being sold back to unsuspecting street vendors and small restaurants as a cheap substitute for fresh cooking oil. It's a horrifying reality that's both disgusting and infuriating. In their desperate bid to save a buck, shady individuals collect this vile sludge, clean it, and then pass it off as something safe for cooking. What's even worse, this practice is way more common than you'd think. In China, for example, it's estimated that a shocking 10% of all cooking oil might be tainted with this toxic waste. But the real kicker isn't just how gross it is, it's how dangerous it is for your health. Gutter oil isn't just revolting, it's downright lethal. It contains harmful toxins and carcinogens that can seriously mess with your body. We're talking long-term health issues like cancer, food poisoning, and internal organ damage that could ruin your health for life. Even though the government has been cracking down, gutter oil keeps slipping through the cracks, and criminals are still making it. Maggot cheese. What if your next cheese platter included live maggots? Kasum marzu, a Sardinian delicacy, does just that, and it's as terrifying as it sounds. For the real cheese aficionados out there, Kasum marzu is like a dark legend, both fascinating and terrifying. This Sardinian cheese is anything but ordinary. It starts off as a basic sheep's milk cheese, but here's the twist. Cheese fly larvae lay their eggs inside the curd, and as they hatch, they munch away on the cheese, turning it into a gooey, spreadable mess. But do you know the real shocker? The maggots are still alive when you eat them. Imagine biting into a piece of cheese only to have wriggling maggots jumping off. For those brave enough to try it, the risk of dangerous bacteria and stomach issues is very real. Although banned in many places due to health concerns, it's still considered a bold delicacy for the daring. Some say it's a rich, flavorful experience, but for most people, the idea of eating something that's still alive and wriggling is enough to make them never want to touch cheese again. Kasum marzu is not just food, it's more of a gruesome spectacle, best left to the pages of strange food history. Coconut worm and ice cream rolls. If you're in the mood for a daring and downright unsettling dessert, coconut worm ice cream rolls could be your ultimate culinary challenge. This strange treat features real, live worms frozen right into the ice cream, making it as creepy as it is adventurous. These worms, known as coconut worms, are chopped up while still squirming and mixed right into the ice cream. A dish that's less about flavor and more about testing your stomach, and maybe your morals too. While worms are a source of protein in some parts of the world, freezing them alive and serving them as a frozen dessert raises some serious questions about hygiene and ethics. For some thrill seekers, this could be the ultimate challenge. But for most of us, the thought of eating something that's still twitching in the cold is enough to make us lose our appetites. Coconut worm ice cream rolls are definitely all about shock value, but it's probably best to leave this creepy concoction in the world of food nightmares. Pita Pit. There's nothing wrong with grabbing a late-night snack, unless it's from Pita Pit. In this wild video, a Pita Pit worker in Missoula, Montana, deals with a rowdy 3 a.m. customer. After the customer dares the employee to spit in her food, the worker takes it a step further, hacking loudly into the sandwich and then tossing it at the customer. Oh, and to top it off, she tries to jump over the counter. Not only is this gross, but spitting or licking food could spread all kinds of nasty stuff to an unsuspecting customer. Fried rat. In the quiet rural fields of Cambodia's Battambang province, fried rat is a seasonal treat. Now, we know it sounds like something straight out of a horror flick to most people, but for locals, these aren't the disease-ridden rats you see in the city. They're field rats, munching on grains and crops in the rice fields, which locals argue makes them much cleaner than their urban cousins, who feast on garbage. Fried rat, usually served with a tangy mango sauce, has been a Cambodian delicacy for generations. It's not just a meal, it's a cultural tradition passed down through the years. They fry these little guys until crispy and golden, and you'll find them proudly served in local markets. To those raised in this culinary environment, it's a familiar, tasty treat. But for outsiders, just the thought of eating rat, no matter how clean it is, can be a major stomach turner. Crispy fried rats on a plate challenge our ideas of what's acceptable food. It raises an interesting question. Could you put aside your food biases and give this unconventional dish a try, or would you stick with what you know? Foot dough. What's the worst thing you could imagine finding in your bread? How about a little toe lint, courtesy of the baker's bare feet? Picture a baker standing barefoot, kneading dough with their toes, shaping it with no gloves or hygiene precautions in sight. While stomping grapes for wine might be a fun tradition in some places, using your feet to work bread dough, that crosses a line for a lot of people. This unsettling practice went viral after a video showed a baker pressing their bare feet into the dough, and the worst part? They might not have even washed their feet first. The idea of toenail clippings, sweat, and dirt making their way into the bread is enough to make anyone cringe. For many, bread is supposed to be comforting, but this just shatters any sense of cleanliness. So, how far are we willing to go for tradition or novelty? It's a hard pass for most, and a food horror story in the making. Fugu. Fugu, or pufferfish, is a dish for the daring, or maybe just the downright crazy. This infamous Japanese delicacy comes with a deadly catch. It's packed with tetrodotoxin, a potent neurotoxin that can kill with just one tiny mistake in preparation. In Japan, only chefs who have spent years, sometimes decades, perfecting the art of fugu are legally allowed to prepare it. They know exactly how to remove the toxic parts, ensuring the dish is safe to eat. But even the pros can slip up, and every year, there are a few tragic accidents, usually involving amateurs trying to prepare it at home. While fugu might be a luxury for some, the danger behind it makes you wonder, is the thrill of eating a potentially lethal dish worth it, or are you just gambling with your life? In this case, trusting the chef isn't just polite, it could literally save your life. Street food. Street food. It's the heart and soul of local culture, a whirlwind of flavor and spontaneity. The smell of sizzling skewers, the vibrant colors of crispy snacks. It's the kind of food that pulls you in with its mouth-watering appeal. But sometimes, what seems like an exciting culinary adventure can be hiding some serious dangers. Take India, for example. The street food scene is one of the country's best attractions, with vendors serving up all kinds of irresistible treats. However, lurking behind those delicious flavors is a shocking lack of hygiene that might make you think twice before digging in. Many vendors reuse cooking oil, sometimes over and over, and in some extreme cases, they might even use gutter oil, a practice that, despite being illegal, still happens way too often. Add to that the polluted air, dirty water, and less than ideal handling of ingredients, and it's easy to see why street food can be a breeding ground for harmful bacteria. Sure, the food might taste amazing, but what's lurking beneath the surface could be a whole mess of foodborne illnesses. From stomach cramps to more serious infections, the dangers of street food don't always show up until it's too late. So, while street food is full of charm and flavor, maybe it's best to approach it with a little caution. The process of making jaggery. Jaggery, that golden sweet treat often praised for its natural qualities and health benefits, seems like a healthier alternative to refined sugar. The way it's made, boiling down sugar cane or palm sap until it forms blocks, gives it a rustic charm, promising a wholesome, earthy sweetness. But, as with most things, looks can be deceiving. While jaggery is often marketed as a healthier option, its production isn't exactly pristine. In many places where it's made, the boiling process happens outdoors, exposed to dust, dirt, and pollutants, making it easy for contaminants to sneak in. This raises some serious hygiene concerns. And while jaggery is loaded with iron and minerals, the health claims surrounding it are often a bit inflated. Just like regular sugar, overindulging in jaggery can lead to health issues like obesity, diabetes, and heart disease. Burger King foot lettuce. The internet has seen its fair share of wild scandals, but one incident truly takes the cake: the infamous Burger King foot lettuce debacle. It all started with one shocking photo. A Burger King employee casually standing in a bin of fresh lettuce, their shoes planted right in the very food that could end up on your burger. The lettuce that might be in your meal was being subjected to this disgusting breach of basic hygiene. The photo was posted anonymously, but it spread like wildfire, quickly catching the attention of outraged customers and online sleuths. Within no time, they managed to track down the restaurant where it all happened, exposing the specific location. The employee responsible was fired, but by then, the damage had already been done. What started as a horrifying image snowballed into one of the most unforgettable fast food scandals of all time. While some people laughed at the absurdity, others couldn't shake the unsettling reminder of what might be happening behind closed doors at fast food joints everywhere. Costco egg supplier. Eggs are a kitchen essential, found in all sorts of meals worldwide, but when Costco's egg supplier practices were called into question, the humble egg became the center of a huge controversy. Disturbing reports began circulating, showing hens cramped into tiny cages on factory farms, sparking outrage. Customers were horrified by the images of mistreated chickens, and animal rights activists weren't holding back their anger. The pictures were hard to ignore. Overcrowded, distressed hens in appalling conditions, all for the sake of mass production. The backlash was fast and intense, seriously damaging Costco's reputation. In response, the company promised to change its ways, making public commitments to source eggs more ethically. They pledged to partner with suppliers offering cage-free environments for the hens and launched ad campaigns to show off the improvements in their supply chain, hoping to win back customer trust. Despite these efforts, however, doubt still lingered. Changing people's minds takes time, especially when the images of animal cruelty are so powerful. While Costco's move towards ethical sourcing is a step in the right direction, only time will tell if they can truly redeem themselves. Rats and chili peppers. While peppers add that perfect kick to so many dishes, the journey they take from farm to plate can be a little unsettling. Footage from chili farms shows rats scurrying through piles of sun-dried peppers, turning them into their personal playground. While the rodents scamper around, workers continue tossing them into sacks without a second thought. These sacks end up in markets and kitchens around the world, all while food safety regulations might not always be tightly enforced. Even in places with strict standards, the FDA allows trace amounts of contaminants like insect bits or even rodent hairs in food, as long as they stay within certain limits. So, the next time you sprinkle some chili flakes on your meal, just know that fiery flavor might come with a not-so-appetizing surprise. Eating snake. In Jakarta, Indonesia, snake meat, particularly from the king cobra, holds a special place in the local food culture. The preparation process is not for the faint of heart. They begin by removing the snake's head, then slice and cook its body, often pairing it with a rich peanut sauce. Fans of snake meat swear by its health benefits, claiming it can improve lung function, regulate blood pressure, fight diabetes, and boost stamina. Because of these supposed perks, snake meat is often seen as a powerful ingredient in traditional medicine. While some enjoy the bold flavors and potential health benefits, others see it as an unnecessary and cruel practice. The king cobra, a feared and respected predator, is revered by many but consumed by those seeking its alleged medicinal properties. Whether you're for it or against it, eating snake is definitely a controversial topic that blends tradition, taste, and debate. Crocodile meat. Crocodile meat might sound like something you'd only find on the menu in far-off places, but in countries like Thailand and Australia, it's quickly becoming a popular alternative to the usual meats we're used to. Its taste, often compared to chicken, has made it a unique addition to both local and international cuisines. What's even more interesting is that crocodiles weren't always this common in the food industry. In fact, they were once considered an endangered species, with their populations plummeting due to overhunting and habitat destruction. Thankfully, conservation efforts have helped their numbers bounce back, and today they are farmed for both their skin and meat. For some, this is seen as a victory for sustainability, offering a more eco-friendly protein option. However, others argue that it's just another way of exploiting a species that once came dangerously close to disappearing. Crocodile dishes have become diverse, ranging from grilled steaks to hearty, flavorful soups, with many people touting the meat as lean and packed with nutrients. But for those who hold these ancient predators in high regard, the thought of eating crocodile is still a controversial topic. The debate continues, blending questions of conservation, sustainability, and cultural beliefs about what's acceptable to consume. Dining on live octopus. The thought of eating a live octopus is enough to make most people cringe, but in certain cultures, it's considered a daring delicacy. This dish isn't just about savoring the taste, it's about the experience of consuming something that's still wriggling on your plate. However, with this adventurous meal comes a very real danger. The suction cups on the octopus's tentacles can easily latch onto your throat if not chewed properly, creating a serious choking hazard. And yes, people have died from this. If you don't chew it enough before swallowing, it can get stuck in your throat. To minimize the risk, chefs often go to great lengths, removing mucus from the tentacles and cutting them into small, bite-sized pieces. But here's the thing. Even with all these precautions, the octopus is still alive when it's eaten. For many, this raises uncomfortable ethical questions, sparking debates about cruelty in food practices. Despite the obvious risks and moral concerns, live octopus remains a sought-after thrill for those looking to push culinary boundaries. But for those with a weaker stomach or a sensitive conscience, it's a dish best left to the more daring eaters. Subscribers pick. And while we're on the topic of the worst people doing the most unhygienic things to food, have you caught wind of the jaw-dropping juice-making method that recently went viral in South Asia? A woman barefoot, spitting into the food she's cooking, and using her legs to mix in unsanitary ingredients. This is definitely a process that'll make you think twice before drinking anything from the street. Would you dare to try juice made this way, or is that just a step too far? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let us know if you'd be brave enough to taste it, or if you'd pass on it completely. Cockroaches. The mere thought of cockroaches in food is enough to make anyone lose their appetite. These hardy little creatures are infamous for thriving in filthy, unsanitary environments and for spreading bacteria that can lead to food poisoning. Yet, in some parts of the world, cockroaches are being reimagined as a potential food source. Proponents of eating cockroaches argue that these insects are packed with protein and could offer a sustainable solution to global food shortages. They claim that if cockroaches are cooked properly, any harmful bacteria would be destroyed, making them safe for consumption. Despite these claims, the idea of eating cockroaches is still a hard sell for most people. Even as researchers explore the possibility of incorporating insects into our diets, the cockroach's reputation as a filthy, disease-carrying pest remains a major obstacle. For now, you're more likely to find these critters scurrying under your fridge than on your plate. KFC's hygiene scandals exposed. KFC, the fast food giant known for its crispy fried chicken and finger-licking good reputation, has recently found itself at the center of several shocking scandals that have raised serious questions about its hygiene practices across the globe. While KFC is usually synonymous with tasty meals and convenience, a series of disturbing events has shed light on what really goes on behind the scenes. In China, a video surfaced showing a KFC employee serving fries that had previously been thrown into the trash directly in front of customers. The fries, which had been picked from the garbage, were then presented as a fresh serving of food. This incident alone paints a disturbing picture of the restaurant's food handling practices, raising major concerns about the lack of care and hygiene in the establishment. But the problems don't stop there. In South Africa, another piece of footage emerged that exposed even more unsanitary practices. In the video, workers were seen cleaning raw chicken in the most unhygienic way possible. Rather than following proper cleaning procedures, employees tossed the chicken on the floor and sprayed it with a hose. It's unclear whether they were using water or some kind of chemical disinfectant, but either way, washing food by throwing it on the ground is a blatant violation of basic food safety. The ground itself was dirty, covered in bacteria and grime, certainly not the sterile environment that any food business should maintain. If these two scandals weren't enough, things took a darker turn when a closer look was taken at KFC's operations in the United States. In 2017, two former employees exposed unsanitary practices at one of their branches, revealing that workers would dump expired food back into storage containers to be reheated and sold the next day. One horrifying video showed a tub of green beans sitting in a disgusting liquid, clearly past their prime. These beans, which had been sitting for 3 or 4 days, were served to customers without a second thought. In addition, chicken that had been cooked hours earlier was kept and reheated for resale. This was a blatant disregard for food safety and customer health. KFC's once popular slogan, "Finger-licking good," now feels more like an ironic taunt, as it's hard to imagine how anyone could confidently enjoy the food when you know what might be lurking behind the scenes. The revelation of these shocking practices is a reminder of how dangerous it can be when corners are cut in food preparation. What we thought was a tasty treat could have been far more hazardous than we ever realized. Bees. Bees play a crucial role in nature, but they're typically kept far away from food preparation areas. That is, except at one bakery stall in China, where things get a bit more unusual. Here, a vendor is calmly rolling out mochi cakes, a beloved sweet treat made with layers of sugar and black sesame seeds. What makes this scene so extraordinary is the massive swarm of honeybees that has completely taken over the stall, buzzing relentlessly around the sugary delights. Crawling across it as the vendor continues working, seemingly unfazed. For some, this might be a nightmare come to life, but in certain cultures, a swarm of bees is actually seen as a symbol of freshness. The idea is that if the bees are attracted to the food, it's so irresistible that even nature can't resist. However, this romanticized notion falls apart when you consider the fact bees, in their daily activities, travel across a variety of surfaces: flower petals, dirt, garbage, and even excrement. Whatever they pick up along the way inevitably ends up on their tiny legs. So when they land on the mochi, all of that gets transferred to the dough. The vendor's laid-back approach means there's no effort to remove the bees or maintain hygiene, and with each roll of the dough, there's a good chance that a stray bee, or remnants of it, ends up embedded in the mix. What started as a sweet treat has now become a concerning health hazard. Suddenly, those layers of sesame and sugar seem like the least of anyone's worries. Switching gears and dining out should be an enjoyable experience, but there's an unspoken rule: treat your server with respect. Unfortunately, one rude customer at the Dime Cafe in Minnesota, California, learned this lesson the hard way. On what seemed like a normal day, a waitress named Nora Bryan took matters into her own hands after a particularly disrespectful customer. In an act so disturbing it's almost hard to believe, Nora took the customer's hot dog and shoved it into her private parts before serving it back to him without a word. This revolting act of retaliation didn't go unnoticed. CCTV footage captured the entire incident, and the video quickly went viral. The backlash was swift, and Nora was fired immediately, but the damage to the cafe's reputation was already done. A single careless or malicious action can have serious health consequences for unsuspecting customers. Although Nora was let go from the cafe, stories like this make diners question what might be happening behind the scenes. Raw oysters. Raw oysters are often seen as the pinnacle of sophistication, a fancy treat enjoyed by the elite. Served on ice with a squeeze of lemon or a dash of hot sauce, they're synonymous with high-end dining. But beneath that slippery surface, raw oysters hide a risky secret that makes this gourmet delight more dangerous than most people realize. Once a cheap and plentiful food for the working class in the 19th century, oysters have now become a rare luxury, mainly due to overharvesting and pollution. What was once a common meal is now a pricey indulgence. But it's not just the growing cost that makes oysters a luxury. What's lurking inside the shell can also be perilous. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention warns that raw oysters can carry Vibrio bacteria, which can lead to nasty stomach infections. The scary part? Contaminated oysters look, smell, and taste just like the safe ones, so you can't tell if one's tainted just by looking at it. For those who love the thrill of slurping down raw oysters, each bite is a gamble. While cooking can kill the bacteria, many still prefer their oysters raw, despite the risk. Every year, people fall seriously ill from eating them, and in some cases, the consequences are fatal. So, while oysters might still be considered a luxury, the cost could go beyond money. It could cost you your health. Civet coffee. Civet coffee, or Kopi Luwak, is not only one of the priciest coffees in the world, but also one of the most debated. This rare Indonesian treat starts with the luwak, a small cat-like creature that munches on ripe coffee cherries. The luwak eats the cherries, but its digestive system can't break down the beans. Here's where it gets wild. While passing through its intestines, the beans ferment, picking up flavors that are said to make them smoother and richer once roasted. After the beans are excreted by the animal, they're cleaned, roasted, and sold at jaw-dropping prices, sometimes as high as $300 per pound. Some coffee lovers swear by its smooth, refined taste, calling it one of the best cups of coffee you'll ever have. But for others, the idea of drinking coffee that's been through an animal's digestive system is a huge turnoff. It's a perfect example of how, in the world of gourmet food, the line between luxury and gross can get a little blurry. Vanilla flavoring from beavers. Vanilla ice cream may seem like the ultimate symbol of sweetness and simplicity, but its flavoring history hides a bizarre secret. In the past, castoreum, a substance harvested from the anal glands of beavers, was used as a natural flavoring for vanilla. This practice goes way back, as the musky, vanilla-like scent made it a surprisingly popular ingredient in both perfumes and food. Thankfully, it's mostly disappeared due to the rise of synthetic vanilla and the difficulty of harvesting the substance. While modern desserts are safe from this strange ingredient, just knowing it was once used still makes people squirm. It's weird proof of how far human creativity, or desperation, can stretch when it comes to flavoring our food. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.